Hi everyone, Matthew Donovan here. This is the September update for my 2017 resolutions. September has been an incredibly busy month. It was so incredibly busy. Every month, I think on these past videos, I've said that every single month has had a focus. This past month, the focus was definitely getting through everything, trying to sort everything out, trying to get everything under control. I guess if I had to pick one thing and attribute it to that, it would definitely be getting involved. Now, part of it that I was spending all of my time on was being a business TA. I would consider that being involved. It's a paid position, but it's definitely something that's taking up a lot of my time. We'll get to that in a little moment, but definitely it hasn't been languages, hasn't been exercise, and it hasn't been reading. The focus this month has just been getting everything under control, and as I mentioned, getting involved. Now, first item on the list, languages. So, I made a decision in the middle of this month. I've started with Hebrew. Now, yes, I came back from the Polyglot Conference from the Language Festival in Montreal, and initially I had decided I want to improve my German, right? I have German, French, Czech, a little bit of Italian, English. I want to improve these languages, right? My German, I would say, is the best. My French is okay. I have a lot of vocabulary. There's definitely still a lot of verbs to learn, a lot of the grammar, the nuances that I still have to learn. I would probably say German, my best, then French, and then Czech and Italian. My Czech and Italian, I know a little bit more in Czech. I can say a little bit more, but they're definitely not where I want them to be. But my goal initially coming back from Langfest was let's pick the languages I have, let's really improve them. Right? I want to be at that stage where I can listen to TV shows, where I can listen to podcasts, really become independent and autonomous in my language learning, listening to podcasts on the way to work or on the drive into school or things like that. When I get to that stage, when anyone gets to that stage, that's where that language learning becomes almost second nature. You can listen, you're understanding the content, and you're picking up on subtleties. I think a big thing when it comes to languages is just that natural understanding. Does something sound right? We say in English, the big bad wolf. We don't say the bad big wolf. That's just something that no one has ever been taught the order of how to phrase adjectives, but it's something we all know because it doesn't sound right. And just by listening and listening and listening and putting in the time, this is a skill that we develop in all languages. And that was my goal, was to do that. I had gone back to German to try and improve that, but midway through the month of September, I was talking with a couple people on the emergency response team, which I'm a part of. They speak Hebrew. I decided the month isn't busy enough. I don't have enough going on. So why not start a new language, an entirely new script, and a new way of writing? It reads from right to left as opposed to the traditional left to right that English and many other languages are written in. So it's new in terms of right to left. The biggest thing that it's new is the script. And we're midway through October now. I'm still not 100% comfortable with the script, but I am much more familiar with the alphabet. There's 22 letters, 5 letters that are called suffix. At the end of a word, they change. They're still pronounced the same. It's still the same letter. It's just a different way to write it. So essentially there's 27 letters to learn or become familiar with. Some of them are just different ways of writing the same. I think at this point, I'm slightly familiar. I'm becoming familiar with this. I can understand the letters. Now it gets more difficult, it gets more complicated. Hebrew is written without vowels. Now, I think when I say it's written without vowels, I don't frame it in a correct way. This is something that I've been in many arguments with over the past couple weeks with, as I mentioned, the people on the emergency response team who speak some Hebrew. Everyone speaks to different levels, but one member in particular, he and I have been going back and forth about learning Hebrew, how to do it. In schools, in Israel, at first you learn how to read and write. You don't even learn what the words mean, and there's a big focus on vowels. Hebrew actually has these vowel dots that can be added below letters, and they show you how the word is meant to be pronounced. However, in actual written Hebrew, these vowel dots aren't there. They're basically training wheels. And for me, I don't want to learn Hebrew with these vowel dots if they're not going to be there at the end of the day. My goal is to read, my goal is to write, my goal is to be able to speak. If the vowel dots aren't going to be there on what I'm reading, I want to learn the language without the vowel dots. Now, it's definitely been a struggle at the start, and part of it is simply because I don't know how the words are meant to be pronounced. Now, when I say vowel dots, I don't mean that part of the word isn't there, right? The word is written as it would be. The word, for example, for coffee, cafe, is written, and this is where it gets confusing, is if I say it's written with the letters K, F, and H, now your mind is thinking, okay, I have to fill in those gaps, fill in those sounds. But the point is, my understanding, and at least my experience, is that certain letters naturally have certain vowels that follow them. So, cafe, maybe it would be kufe or kife, but there are certain ways, and maybe it's kufa, but the point is, you become familiar with how things sound in Hebrew. What vowels and what vowels together make certain sounds. And I think it's the same with English. We just become used to seeing certain patterns of letters together making certain sounds. And I'm not worried about the fact that vowels are missing in Hebrew. In fact, I think they're not. I think these vowel dots are actually a training wheel that maybe, obviously it's how the population learns, but I don't think they're necessary to learning the language. I think a big part of the way I learn is with input. I've been doing a lot on LingQ, reading and listening in particular, except the listening has actually been slightly more complicated. Google doesn't have a text-to-speech for Hebrew at the moment. They either did and it isn't working, or they never did. But as a result, I can't type in the letters for cafe and figure out how is it pronounced. So I've been going to another website called Forvo, Forvo.com. And Forvo exists for all languages. You can type in any word, and volunteers upload that word being said. So I can type in cafe, and I can hear it pronounced. So that's what I've been doing to really learn the pronunciation. On LingQ, I can listen to the whole text, but sometimes I just want a specific word. But what I've been doing is learning the words as a whole. So at first, I'll read through the text. And, for example, the word cafe, I thought it was pronounced kafe. I didn't know where to put in that extra sound. But I listened to it, cafe, and now when I'm reading through, I actually see the word cafe, and I pronounce it cafe. So I think it's just that learning. I think it's definitely tough, it's definitely complicated, it's a challenge, but I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm excited to continue it and see where we go. But languages, I switched to Hebrew. There hasn't been a lot going on, a lot of progress. I have been quite busy, but the biggest thing has been the script, and that was my first goal, is to understand the alphabet. I think I'm at a stage now where I can do that. Now the next goal is lots of listening, lots of reading, lots of input. We'll see where we go. Second goal, reading. My understanding, I just looked at my spreadsheet. I don't think I read a thing. Obviously, I'm reading texts on the internet. I'm obviously reading in other languages, but I haven't been reading novels. I did finish a book that I had on my bedside table called Habits. I think it was, what's it called? It's by Charles Duhigg. I think it's called The Power of Habit. I finished that. I'm not quite sure whether or not it was this month or last month. It may have actually worked its way into the tail end here, because I do remember I put it on pause during my trip to Montreal, but regardless, if anything, I read a couple chapters of that, have not been doing my reading. I need to start this up again. At this point, I've just been too busy. I have books I'm wanting to read, but I need sleep. Sleep is very important to me. If I don't get enough sleep, nothing else can function. So I do put sleep above some of these other things. And at this point, it's really a matter of, I think I said the same thing in January, February of this year, when I was on co-op and not able to exercise as much. I have a list of things to do. I have a certain amount of time in which to do those things, and unfortunately the amount of time I have is not the same as the amount of things I have to get done, so it's a matter of prioritizing what goes here and what stays and what doesn't get done. Reading hasn't been that good. I'm looking forward to working on that in the future. I have a small fly that's been flying around, so I'm trying to get rid of it, hoping to starve it. I've taken everything off my counters. I'm just hoping to starve the flies. There's a couple of them. I'm hoping to starve them and get them out of here. But the next goal, exercise. I haven't exercised in the sense of the exercise that I was typically doing. I haven't gone swimming. I haven't been running on the treadmill. I went biking once when I was home in August. I didn't go biking at all in September. I didn't go down on the cycling machine down in the basement here. It's due to lack of time. And yes, if I had these things prioritized maybe differently, I may not have spent the time working on Hebrew, and I could have spent the time exercising. I'm aware of this, but unfortunately, I'm prioritizing languages right now. It's the most important thing to me personally, so exercise hasn't happened. I am on an Ultimate Frisbee team, and every Sunday we play Ultimate Frisbee for an hour. So I did actually get in 2 hours of Ultimate Frisbee, constant running around. It's actually a lot more exercise than I anticipated. I end the games all the time. I'm drenched in sweat. I'm exhausted. It's an hour of constant running back and forth. I'm counting that as exercise, but that being said, it was 2 hours out of the entire month of September, so still not very good. Hoping to improve that going forward. I'm hoping to improve on the reading as well, but it's a matter of just finding the time, getting everything under control, working ahead, figuring out when to do things, getting it all figured out. Co-op. Part of the reason why now is such a busy time is I'm applying for co-op. I'm applying for jobs in January. So at this point, I've put in about 20 applications. I'm starting my interviews. I have an interview this week. I have multiple interviews this week. Hopefully I'll have a few next week as well. And by the end of October, it'll be finalized if I have a job, if I've been able to secure a job through this round of co-op job search. I'll know by the end of October. So hopefully I get this wrapped up. If not, I'll be entering a longer job search throughout the month of November. That'll just be more applications, more interviews. But at this point, I'm confident that I've put out some good quality applications. I'm hopeful that I can get some interviews. So at this point, it's really a matter of waiting and seeing how things work. That's it for co-op. I'll be on co-op again in January. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited to see where I can work, get some new experience, work in new companies, and learn a lot more. So I'm excited for that. It's another thing going on right now. The applications, writing cover letters. It's a busy time. GPA. It's a tough start to the semester. I'm not quite sure how things are going to go. A lot of my courses are primarily midterm, final, a couple projects, not a lot of assignments. My math courses, computer science, I have an assignment every 3 weeks, and optimization, I have one every 2 weeks. So it really is just a matter of working through these assignments. There's only 4 or 5 throughout the entire course of the term, making sure I do well, really working on those assignments, keeping up to date on the readings. My other courses have weekly quizzes almost, or multiple choice questions to make sure that I'm doing the reading. They're not so much graded. I haven't written any midterms. There's a couple coming up end of October, so I'm not quite sure how things will be going there. To be honest, I'm expecting or anticipating a slight GPA drop this semester just due to everything that I'm involved with. I'm okay with that. Ideally, I'd like to still keep my GPA above a 10. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I can keep it even higher than that, but I do need to be cognizant of everything that's going on and all the things I'm spending my time on. So as I said, I'm anticipating a slightly lower GPA, but I'm hoping that I can maybe avoid that. But we'll see how things go. It's a little too early to tell right now. As I said, midterms coming up, a couple during the month of October. So I'll know more maybe in a month where I stand. But for right now, I feel confident in the material. I feel comfortable with the courses. Some of them, like human resources that I'm taking, slightly more theory-based, conceptual, not as much, here's what's going on, here's how it's applied. It's a lot of up in the air, how are things interpreted, how do you explain? I'm not as fond of those types of courses, but it is what it is. They're all multiple choice questions, all the tests. So hopefully I can understand and study and figure out what's going on and do well in that. And the final thing on the list here is getting involved. I mentioned I'm in the deep end, over my head. We'll throw out all the analogies I can here, all the sayings, but there's a lot going on. I started JDC, that's the case competition team. Every single Sunday, we start our training at 10 o'clock. We have a seminar, we learn about something. Normally we start at about 11:30 or noon with the individual case. I'm on a team with 2 other people, so there's 3 of us in total. We have 3 hours to work on this case. 3 hours to analyze, prepare a recommendation, put together a presentation, come up with slides. 3 hours to do that. It's a 20-minute long presentation, then we have 5 minutes of questions. By the time we finish that, it's about 3:30, sometimes even 4 o'clock. Often we like to sit around and watch another team present to learn from them, see what's going on. So by that point, it's 4:30. Oftentimes it's past 5 o'clock by the time I get home. My Sundays are almost entirely dedicated to working on JDC. That being said, I enjoy it. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot, both on the cases that we're doing, working in teams, also from the presentations, also from watching other people present. It's very busy. There's a lot going on, but I'm enjoying it. Also, business TA. I teach 2 labs a week. That's a total of 3 hours. Each lab's just under 90 minutes. I also have office hours. We attend training meetings, preparation meetings, marking. There's a lot going on, slightly more than I had anticipated being a business TA. That being said, I'm also really enjoying that. There's 38 of us in total as business TAs, plus the professors. Such a great group of people. Everyone's so friendly. I think we all have very similar interests, personalities, all of these types of things. That's why we were all chosen to be TAs and why we're all functioning well as one big TA team. So I'm definitely quite happy that I'm working as a business TA this semester. I'm really excited for the rest of the semester and how things go. There definitely will be a lot going on in terms of marking. We'll have to mark the final, we'll have to mark the midterm, we'll have submissions, we'll have cases we'll have to mark. There's a lot of marking that we haven't even started yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. We also attend trivia every single Wednesday. Not a mandatory event, but I'm quite a fan of trivia, so I'm making an effort to go to every single one. It's another couple hours a week, but as I said, I quite enjoy it. We have a group of probably at least 10 or 15 of us that attend regularly. Lots of fun. Really enjoy seeing what's going on. But my phone was just beeping at me there. Apparently I ran out of space, so I had to delete a couple of the old videos, which is something I should be doing on an ongoing basis. And now I can record again. Now I have some space. So as I was saying, there's a group of about 10 or 15 of us. We attend trivia every week. I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy the trivia. And again, it's just another opportunity to really get to know the members of the TA team, to get to know the other TAs, and have fun in the process. Trivia is quite fun. The guy who runs it really knows what's going on and knows what he's doing. He runs trivia at Guelph, at Waterloo, I think a place down in Toronto. So it's always good to go. It's something else. It's voluntary. I definitely could be opting out of that and not participating to either get other things done or to get some sleep. But it's a nice break. I think it's important to schedule in breaks, even though there's a lot going on. So business TA, there's a lot going on. I'm also slightly adding to that by going to trivia and the volunteering for other events, but I think it's important. I'm enjoying it, so I'm enjoying that. And finally, another thing that I've been involved with, probably another big thing, has been the promotions executive for the emergency response team. I wasn't expecting this role to have as much responsibility, as much of a time commitment as it is, or as it does, but I've been having to make a lot of posts on social media, planning for these posts, coming up with promotional material, promotions, planning things out. What are we doing? What kind of events can we have, or what kind of videos can we put together? As well as every other week, we have a meeting with all the general members, as well as the executive team, every week we have a meeting with the executive team. Just this past week, I actually had to help out with hiring. We were hiring some new general members. We have 2 rounds of hiring. This was the second round. We have one in March and then one now, end of September. But other than that, like every other week, we have a shift. As an exec, that's how we've laid it out, is it's about an 8-hour shift every other week. So that's normal. That's what I was expecting. I quite enjoy that. We have a lot of new people on the team, as well as old members from last year who I already knew from the team. But it's definitely also been a great experience. I've been quite enjoying that so far. All of these involvements that I've been with, both JDC as well as TA and also ERT, even though they're sort of divided into 2 different categories, JDC and business TA are more business related, while ERT is science related. That means there's 2 different groups of people. There's a lot of overlap between JDC and business TA, but there's 2 groups of people, business and science. I quite enjoy the both of them. I think it's a nice mix as opposed to just always being with other students who are in business. So I quite enjoy that. I don't think there's any other major things that I've been getting involved with. There's not that much going on where I'm living. I'm still trying to show up to the social club meetings every month. We haven't had a chance to have euchre. We had to move that around. One of my labs for business, I didn't think about this, is at the same time as we used to do our euchre nights. We also weren't getting as great a turnout as we initially were, so we decided to move the euchre nights. We haven't been able to find a time that works well, so there's been a lot going on, but involvement I think is key. I want to try and stay balanced. I want to stay focused, but also going into different avenues. I'm doing 3 main things. There are 3 things that I'm spending a lot of time, a lot of effort on, which is something that I'm glad. I don't want to spread myself thin and really not get involved and just be a general member here, a general member over there. Maybe I volunteer with this once a week or things like that. I don't want to do that. I want to pick a few things and really spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on that. And I think I've really identified that with business TAing, JDC, and the emergency response team. There's a lot of things going on, and at this point I'm really trying to figure out how to balance everything, how much time is needed for everything, and what's the best way and when is the best spot to schedule everything in. But there's been a lot going on. The month of September, in addition to everything else, I had the co-op applications, so there's just been a lot going on. I'm hoping that October will be more of a quiet month. I'm starting with midterms, so that'll be a new time commitment that I'll have to work in, is planning for my midterms and studying for those, and also a bit more marking as a business TA, but I definitely think it's manageable. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also very excited for Hebrew. It's a new language, a new script, and I think that's what really motivates me, is the challenge, taking it on, learning this. There's a lot going on. That's the update for September. I'll be back in another month with the October update. Hopefully I have more concrete progress in certain areas, but as I said, I think I said this in February or March, every month there seems to be a main focus. This month it was definitely an involvement. There's been a lot going on, but I'm happy. I'm happy with how things are going. Yes, we could improve certain things, do more reading, do more exercise. I'm trying to do that, but it's not the end of the world if these things don't happen. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll be back in another month. Bye.